Okay, so I'm re-recording this because my audio was bugged out for the survival and base tree portion. So, for survival, they start with kill command. It goes into either Trailblazer, which I honestly wish was just reworked into something more usable. I don't mind Trailblazer as a talent, but it just it's really only useful for running old content. But at least it's not something you have to take. Well, actually, no, you would have to take it if you want the interrupt. Yeah. Post haste is here. I'm very glad to see that. Actually, no, you don't have to take Trailblazer because you can take Kill Shot, go into post haste, and get the counter shot. Okay. So, I'm very happy to see that post haste is very early on. It essentially makes it baseline, which is something I've been saying should happen for quite a while, at least since the beginning of BFA, because I don't think there's been an expansion where post haste has existed and another talent that shared a row with it was ever used. Improved kill shot increases kill shot damage for when it crits. That is not horrible. Absolutely not. Marksmanship has a lot of critical talents to it, so they would probably pick this up. Beast Mastery also has some crit talents, so they might. I'm not sure if Survival would. It would depend on how they're building. Natural Mending just reduces the cooldown of your exhilaration when you spend focus. That's a pretty good one. Tranquilizing Shot, absolutely love it. I prefer it be on the hunter and not on the pet, because then you don't have to be pet swapping all the time, especially with the changes that they're making so that Dismiss Pet is a 3-second cast. Misdirection is here. I have no issue with Misdirection being there because, let's be honest, Huntard is a joke for a reason. Most Hunter players do suck at the game. I have no issue with it being here. Most Hunters probably won't take it. And that's probably because they don't know how to use it, in my opinion. Tar Trap is here. Absolutely good. So you can get that how you want. Here's where it gets a bit interesting. You can choose between Scatter Shot and Binding Shot. I am more of a PvE player, so I would likely pick Binding Shot. I know Scatter Shot is really useful for PvP to help stop casts, CC healers, etc. So that's what I would. That's why I would normally pick Binding Shot, because I don't PvP that much. So right below Tranquilizing Shot is you get Focus for dispelling something. I love that, and I wish it was. This effectively makes it baseline, but I wish each class either got rewarded for interrupting or dispelling. Like, I'm just happy that this is here. This is really good design. It does incentivize players to do this. Fogged Crystal, you don't have to take this because it only reduces damage your pet takes while Misdirection is active. So that means outside of solo content, and content where you want your pet to be tanking, potentially world group content without a tank, this talent is actually rather useless. But it has its uses, so I'm glad it's there and you don't have to take it. Improved Exhilaration heals your pet. I wish this was 25/50% and part of the heal was baseline, because Exhilaration has always healed your pet, and I just don't see the point in removing it just to make it a talent. I think I forgot to check Thick Hides here. It just increases your pet's health. So, and then it goes into Improved Men Pet, which allows your pet to be healed for a lot more of its health. This is very much either solo content or PvP content. In most PvE cases, you're not going to need to cast Men Pet. Scare Beast follows that. I don't think most hunters will take this talent. It'll depend on the enemy types, really, for PvE. Scare Beast is mostly a PvP talent in terms of fearing other hunter pets and feral and guardian druids. But hunter pets usually are targets in PvP, so it makes sense to have pet health into pet healing into Scare Beast. So I'm actually very happy with where it's placed. So this is an interesting choice. You either get to choose between Intimidation, which is a single target stun, or High Explosive Trap. If you just look at this as it is, I would say you'll always pick Intimidation. There's not much reason to use High Explosive Trap beyond the damage, and I don't believe High Explosive Trap does a lot of damage anyways. So, outside of contacts we'll get into later, I think you'll pick Intimidation, but I'm actually going to pick High Explosive Trap because of some later context. Camouflage is just the usual camouflage. Born to be Wild is just really good. Reduces cheetah, turtle, and if you're survival, eagle. Agile movement. Flat movement speed is pretty much going to be taken unless you just don't have the spare talents for damage. Here's where taking High Explosive Trap is tempting. First, this needs to be reworded. It says targets knocked back by... Oh, okay, never mind. It doesn't need to be reworded. I didn't see that part. So, what it does is... Oh, wait. Targets knocked back by Explosive Trap. And then, or stunned by Intimidation. Deal less damage. I don't think High Explosive Trap's effect is considered a root, so I would probably just change that to after the effect ends, rather than saying after the root or stun. But reading this might actually be rather useless revisiting this, because most bosses cannot be knocked back. It's usually a mechanic of a fight if they can. Almost all bosses can't be stunned. So I was originally considering this to be a form of a new defensive cooldown that hunters have been lacking. But if it requires either the target to be knocked back or stunned, then this might just be useless. That might need some reconsideration. That seems maybe it might be more of a PvP talent then. Cooldown of Tar Trap and Freezing Trap reduced. Not bad. Okay, so let's find what we can. Tar Trap. So Serpent Sting is here. It's going to be baseline for all 3 specs again. I am not mad. I'm not exactly happy. I don't really care about Serpent Sting. It doesn't have the same place it used to with hunters. So, it's just meh. So, the first ability is a Azerite trait from BFA, and the second ability is a survival talent currently. I think this is very good because what it does is the first ability is like ramping damage, and your main spender will consume it to deal extra damage. So if a fight is going to go on long, you can use that to get consistent damage, where with Viper's Venom, it is more of a burst-focused ability. So that would likely be better used on trash packs. I would like to see following up on my marksmanship tree. I was saying that they need to honestly just take out explosive shot and give it back to marksmanship as the old survival rotation, like they promised in Legion, like they didn't do in BFA, like they didn't do in Shadowlands. Give it back to us. You promised, and you still haven't delivered 6 years later. But I'd say it'd be neat if this was replaced with a AoE ability like the old survival from Cataclysm onwards, where this was like passive that said your multi-shot, carve, and butchery apply Serpent Sting, because that would make latent poison injectors a lot better, because you could swap targets to consume each one individually for high AoE damage. And then Viper's Venom is just a single target thing, so there's not really any synergy there. Unless you make it also work with Serpent Stings applied via multi-shot and carve. Barrage is here. It's going to be either its wonderful, overly large AoE self, or near useless ability just because of its inherent ability to either pull everything or hit nothing. Keen Insight is base crit chance. Marksmanship will probably take this. Beast Mastery might take this. Survival might not, depending on how they build. Beastmaster pet damage is increased. I like how you can go from Exhilaration into improved traps to get here. It means you don't have to go down this tree. So then, next we have improved kill command, just increased damage. Stampede. I was going through the Beast Mastery talent, and it has essentially old Stampede, except it's slightly redesigned. So I'm not sure what they could really do with the Stampede. I'm not a fan of this version just because it doesn't have a visible hitbox. It doesn't let you place it where you want. It's like you just hit the ability, animals start running at them from a random direction. I have no clue if the animal model does the damage or if it's just flat damage in a set area. I just find Stampede is very naturally informing. I'm forgetting the word, so I'm going to say naturally informing. It doesn't show itself what its capabilities are. And include the fact that Stampede is usually undertuned. That's why most people don't take it. Next thing, where he's trapping apparatus. I am very interested to see where this goes. This is likely to be a very strong talent in PvP due to it giving 45 focus and increasing focus generation. That is going to allow you to do some heavy burst damage. But that also has some potential in PvE, especially on boss fights that have ads. So I'm very interested to see how that goes. Chimera Shot's nothing new. Just the hits 2 targets. Doesn't say here if it generates focus. In some iterations it did, some iterations it didn't. We'll have to wait and see if that changes or not. Master Marksman. Ranged special attacks cause the target to bleed. So this is the old marksmanship mastery from Cataclysm, and I believe it also had it in MoP before it was swapped over to the movement mastery in WoD, and then swapped over again to the range mastery in Legion. Not bad, but I think this is pretty much useless for Beast Mastery, because most of their abilities are caused by their pet, which I don't think is considered a ranged special attack. Rather useless for survival, as outside of aspect of the eagle, they're melee. So I feel like this should either just say your special attacks, so that it's actually usable by all specs, or just put it into the marksmanship tree, because this honestly makes little sense here. Chakrams and Death Chakram. I am incredibly happy to see that Death Chakram is being made into a talent. That is one of my favorite abilities from Shadowlands. While Shadowlands is the one expansion in my 15 years of playing that I genuinely did not want to play and quit playing 3 months after launch, Death Chakram was still one of my favorite abilities. Especially when it had the new explosive shot trait in Torghast, where it applied the explosive shot buff. I would love to see a spec designed around chakrams. Like, heck, I wouldn't care if they completely ripped out current survival and made it into like a chakram spec. I don't care for current survival. I've tried getting into it every single expansion, except for Shadowlands, just because I didn't play for very long. But I just could never like survival, so. But I would love to see them to expand on the chakram idea, because hunters have had chakrams since Mists of Pandaria, and for some reason nothing's been done with them. I feel like that is an area of hunter that could be expanded upon and made a rather unique spec identity for. Steel Trap, basically just freezing trap with a dot that roots instead of full-on CCs. Depending on the damage, you might take it, you might not. I don't know if it sees use in PvP. It possibly does, depending on the balance. I don't think it's normally used, but it's hard to say. And then here, Killer Instinct and Alpha Predator. For survival, you're probably going to take Alpha Predator. It's going to be hard to say for Beast Mastery whether you'll take Killer Instinct or Alpha Predator. Having the 2 charges is going to be incredibly useful for Beast Mastery. And the fact that you get just increased damage baseline is going to be nice. But having quite a bit extra damage during that burn phase is also useful. So I think this is actually an unironically meaningful choice. And it might even swap between fights. I'm not sure. For survival, you start out with Raptor Strike. I'm not exactly happy that Harpoon is here. I feel like that should probably be baseline for survival. It is their gap closer. That'd be like asking Warrior to spec into Charge. Like, speccing into Heroic Leap, that would make sense, but Charge is, at least from what I know, is baseline still. The Warrior tree isn't out, so I can't double check. But I feel like Harpoon is the same situation. It should probably be baseline. This increases all your pets' damage. Kill Command has a chance to reset upon cast. You're just gonna take that. That's one of your... I believe Kill Command is going to be your focus generator still. I don't know how they plan on doing that with Survival and Beast Mastery sharing Kill Command now. Because Raptor Strike doesn't say if it generates focus or not. Wildfire Bomb. One of the few things I've liked about Survival is Wildfire Bomb. And I'll get into more when we get down to here about how I think Wildfire Bomb could be improved and made into a more customizable ability. For Harpoon, you would have Improved Harpoon, which reduces the cooldown, and then Terms of Engagement, deals damage and generates focus with a cooldown reset on kill. I'm fine with these two being talents. I'm not that fine with Harpoon being a talent. I think that should be baseline for survival. Kill Command increases damage of your next Raptor Strike, stacking up to 3 times. You will likely take that. Mongoose Bite is there for those that enjoy it. I never did. I thought it was a stupid mechanic at the time because of the lack of consistent focus generation for survival at the time. I understand with high haste, you can generate enough focus to not only get up to 5 stacks, but get a few Mongoose Bites off of it. So, it seems like it's more of a talent for end of expansion than anything. I feel like it could probably use some kind of... Well, actually no, it would depend on what the focus generation looks like, because I'm not sure what Kill Command and Raptor Strike are going to be like yet. I believe I skipped Bloodseeker on accident. Kill Command causes the target to bleed, and you and the pet gain attack speed for each bleeding enemy. This is a current survival talent, nothing new there. So here you can choose either between Carve and Butchery. I am more of a Butchery fan, but Carve is the more consistent, where Butchery is more burst. I'm just more of a fan of the Butchery. Frenzied Strikes I like the idea of Frenzy Strikes, but it should probably be upped for Butchery. Just because Butchery has a cooldown where Carve doesn't, I'd say maybe up it to 1.5 to 2 seconds for Butchery hits. To just so it aligns with the burst nature of Butchery. You burst out the damage, you would burst out the cooldown, and follow up with a Wildfire Bomb, possibly 2. So, I like it, I just think it needs to be adjusted a bit for Butchery. Lunge increases the range of your melee attacks and abilities. I don't think this is even a question, something that people are going to take all the time. Ranged classes are taken over melee all the time just because range is that important of a factor. So the fact that you can have extra range as a baseline, it's just going to be taken. Wildfire Bomb has 2 charges, and the initial explosion does more damage. That is perfectly fine. That's a current talent. Deals additional damage, not a big deal. Kill Shot reduces the cooldown of Wildfire Bomb. I think this isn't a bad talent, but it could probably just be baked into probably improved Wildfire Bomb. Like, it's not a bad talent. And I understand, it's meant to allow you to, like, burst phase kill shot increases your ability to use Wildfire Bomb. I just don't think it's very good as a standalone talent. I would probably rather see it with improved Wildfire Bomb. Increases the damage and your your burn window is made stronger. Sharp Edges, just crit damage dealt increased. Haven't seen that much for crit chance early on. So Sharp Edges is definitely one of the weaker talents, because after seeing Beast Mastery and Marksmanship, they are generally very strong with building certain themes and synergy. I feel Survival lacks that, just as a whole, in terms of its spec identity. So, Sharp Edges is one of those things that currently I don't think fits, because there just isn't really any crit buffs anywhere around here. Sweeping Spear, increased damage, nothing more. Oh, Flanking Strike as well. You and the pet leap generate focus. Nothing different than the current talent. So Tactical Advantage. Flanking Strike and Wildfire Bomb damage increased. Nothing big there. Spear Focus. Raptor Strike and Mongoose Bite deal more damage. This should probably just say Mongoose Bite, because let's be honest, to get this talent, you have to take Mongoose Bite. Why even bother having it say Raptor Strike? It's probably misleading the people for honestly no reason. Like, you're not gonna get Spear Focus unless you take Mongoose Bite, so. Killer Companion. Kill Command increased damage. Precision. You and your pets have increased crit chance. We're finally seeing this. I would probably swap Precision and Sharp Edges, just so the crit chance is earlier on and the crit damage is later, so it makes a bit more sense. And then following that is Spearhead. You and your pet charge the enemy, striking them, become one. Oh my. While active, your pet damage is increased. Raptor and Mongoose deal additional damage over 4 seconds, so they basically apply a dot. And Kill Command has a 20% increased chance to reset. I would like to see that 20% made into 25%, just for consistency's sake. I'd rather have the 50% chance to reset than 45. It just seems like a weird number to have for a reset chance, but probably just my inner OCD, because if I don't think people would not take Predator, but in the case that they don't, it would just be a 20% chance for a reset. Coordinated Assault. This is a bit misleading to those who don't read it carefully. You and your pet charge your enemy, striking them for physical damage. You and your pet's bond is then strengthened for 20 seconds, causing your pet's basic attack. This gives the impression that it's the next basic attack, to me at least. As we go later on, it'll be made more apparent that this is not a consumed buff, and each basic attack applies this. I think a simple change would be just changing the wording so it says causing your pet's basic attacks. Just add an S to the end of that. Just so it's clear. But reducing the cooldown of Wildfire Bomb when you use Carve, or applying a bleed when you use Kill Shot. I think there should be something else added for Raptor Strike, just because it's either AoE or burn window. There's nothing else really to that. So it's a bit weird as a cooldown. So you probably put something in there for Raptor Strike, Mongoose Bite. I'm not really sure. But it just feels like it's lacking in the single target department. Coordinated Kill. Kill command has guaranteed chance to critical strike after resetting while Coordinated Assault is active. I would probably say, if in terms of the single target ability, maybe you should take the 20% increased reset chance and put it on Coordinated Assault for the single target portion, because that would also make using Coordinated Kill it would make a lot more sense in the case of someone who doesn't take Predator. I understand it would make no sense for someone who doesn't take Predator to also take Coordinated Kill, but let's be fair, there are people out there who will probably do that. There are all kinds of people, and I would be surprised if there wasn't a person who would do that. Birds of Prey. Attacking your pet's target with Raptor Strike or Carve extends the duration of Coordinated Assault. This is the ability that makes me think this is not consumed. Because why would you extend a consumed buff? So I'm pretty sure it's just a slight grammar mistake. Aspect of the Eagle. I would probably avoid it just because I don't find cooldown to be ranged for a little bit all that usable. It would probably depend on the raid fight more than anything. Like, if a boss requires you to be at range, I think Aspect of the Eagle has about a minute and a half cooldown. So if it requires you to be at range for a little bit for every minute and a half or so, you'll probably take it, just so you can continue DPSing. But otherwise, I wouldn't. Energetic Ally, maximum focus increase. Nothing big there. Wildfire Infusion. I love the idea of having different kinds of wildfire bombs. The change I would make is take this, apply it into improved wildfire bomb. And then take this, put it where this talent is, and have it be a choice talent where you pick one of the three abilities. You choose either the Pheromone Bomb, the Poison Bomb, or the Bleed Bomb. And then that's the one you get for that. Now, just off of that one explanation, people are probably thinking, why would you do that? That just reduces your versatility and and the usability of Wildfire Bomb. I would change this to be a follow-up so that you could pick one of the other two that you didn't pick, so that you could make a customized Wildfire Bomb rotation. So like, you could go back and forth between Pheromone and Bleed. You could take this, your kill command would either reset constantly, freshly applying the Bleed to everything, or you could take or it would be the Bleed Bomb, where you'd throw everything and then throw out a Butchery to apply a Bleed to everything. I think allowing that kind of customization just with 2 talent choices would be amazing. And I hope that they do that. Then it goes into Deadly Duo. Kill command cooldown reset. You have a chance to reset kill shot and allow it to be usable regardless of health. Not bad. I don't really have any strong opinions on this either way, so... Fury of the Eagle. It's a old Legion artifact ability. It's not in its old self, though. It used to benefit from Mongoose Bite stacks, but it doesn't say it does this time, and it's just a 4-second cone channel. And then kill command reduces the cooldown of it. I feel like this probably should benefit from Mongoose Bite stacks just so those players can have their old playstyle back. Like, I want my old survival playstyle back in marksmanship. They said they would give it to us. Give it to us. Give it to us. But in the same regard as me wanting old survival rotations back, the old survival hunters at this point, old melee survival hunters, should also probably be able to have their old rotation back if they want.